Well, Nicole, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
So excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, first I want to congratulate you on the big promotion. I feel like that should be done publicly.
Thank you. Still wrapping my brain around it.
As you just laughed. So how long have you been in your network marketing business?
I have been in this network marketing business for 5 years. We just hit our anniversary.
Awesome. Congrats. So today we could probably talk for about 6 days straight. Neither one of us would come up for air. But today, let's talk about some of the things that you feel helped you to be successful, specifically your attitude towards recruiting. Is that cool?
Awesome.
Excellent. So when we were talking earlier, you mentioned if you could go back in time, this is the thing that you would change. I was thinking maybe we could start off with that and then go from there.
Okay. It's so fun. Like I said, I'm just so happy to be here. I'm honored to be a part of anything Tasha and her team are doing. And so as we were talking earlier about things that have changed and what I maybe wish could have been different, most of the time I feel pretty good and confident about the process that has happened. And I think things happen for a reason, and it's okay to be, find perfection in the imperfection as you're building your business. But I have said, if there was one thing, it would be that, I would bring up the business side to any and everyone, that I would have a more clear and aggressive, if you will, recruiting plan in place. Because when I started, it was second, it was very product based. It was very enrolling and building that way and passively kind of hoping and crossing your fingers that people will come on and they'll ask me if they want to do the business or if they could join me in the business. Where I think if I could have done what I do now back then, it would have maybe helped me get to a higher rank quicker, or helped me decipher or siphon through who I really wanted to work with. So
why didn't you do that from the get-go?
It's funny. In a word, belief,
Tell me more.
Conviction. I think as we're starting a new business, for me anyway, I had this hope that this idea or this plan was going to work. But I was still trying to figure it out for me, and do people want to really do what I'm doing? And am I really convicted that it's going to be this dream that I think in my head? And am I confident and almost humble enough or hungry enough to just lay it out there? And I was confident in the fact that I had skills and that I could talk to people and that I would do anything for what I was trying to accomplish, which at the time was, help my family out. So I was like, okay, let's drop the act. I can go door to door and make this work. But there was that block of, do people want to do what I'm doing? So I wasn't actively seeking out people.
So how did you overcome that? And if you tell me I started making a bunch of money, then I'm going to kick you off the podcast. Because it's a chicken and egg problem.
That's hilarious. That's such a good question. I think what started to happen is the belief grew, right? The belief grew in the process of what was happening, not necessarily from a monetary standpoint, but from seeing people start to see hope and the realization that they were capable of something. I had a builder, this will always stick in my head, that said one time, a new builder, where she said, I just want to be really good at something. And it made me start to think, I have this ability to help people feel awesome. Sure, the income's nice and that comes later, but there's a quote that, again, I always tell Tasha, I love quotes, but I butcher every single one of them. But ultimately, giving growth and contribution to the world and to other people, that really fuels me. That makes me feel happy. That's what I want to do more in my business. And when you can recruit with that kind of focus, and I know I said the word conviction already, but there's no doubt in my mind that this opportunity is not incredible for anyone. So I'm going to ask anybody. I'm going to not make any assumptions, and I'm going to ask people if they want to learn how they can make an income, ABC, and look them in the eye and just, this train is moving and you want to be on it. It's exciting. And I feel like just the passion behind that sells itself. So I had to get it straight in my brain to get to that point that I wasn't stopping. This was the end game for me, and that it worked.
Sure. But people quit, they fail, they don't do as well as they should. Doesn't that discourage you?
Absolutely. I think, why yes it does.
Oh, great. Podcast over.
I think it's hard to see people not live up to the potential that you can see in them. It's hard, it's really hard. But again, the end game for me is just, it's such a continual thing where if somebody falls away or they get discouraged or they quit, I'm continually putting people into, there's this elevator escalator analogy where if we're focused just on one person in the recruiting aspect, we put them in the elevator with us and we take them to the top. And that's just the one person we have focused on. That person might quit, they might get discouraged, and then I had all this time with just one person. But if I'm continually bringing people on this escalator, got this revolving system of active recruits coming in, which helps you keep your sanity, one thing, and your recruiting process becomes fun. You're not so tied to, oh my gosh, this person quit and now this isn't going to work and I don't know what to do. And you go in this like downward spiral of, whew, now what?
So that seems pretty counterintuitive, because what I heard you say is that when you realized people failed, instead of stopping to recruit, you recruited more people. And that doesn't make a lot of sense. So could you explain that process? Well, because I run this recruiting course, right? And they're like, well, so-and-so failed, and so I can't ever recruit anyone again because people fail. Or even for myself, I'm not as far along as I would want to be, and so therefore I can't ethically recruit. Now, you are one of the best humans I know that I've met since running this business. I should have probably told you that ahead of time so you don't cry on the podcast, but it's true.
I am a feeler.
I know. So you are straight up a good person. So how does a good person recruit other people, more people, when you realize that people fail or don't do as well as they would like to, or it doesn't work out for everybody? Can you help explain that?
I love that. I think what it does for me is, and I heard this again, I've been quoting her all day, Tasha, where it's like, do you want to be perfect or do you want to do hard things? And when it's absolutely essential to growth in life to do hard things and to fail and to pick yourself back up and go. So in the recruiting aspect, when people quit, for me, I just feel like I've always got like a backup plan, which makes me excited. Whether I fail, then I do a post-game wrap up and I'm like, why did this recruit fall away? It's time to kind of look and figure out, I say success leaves clues. So does non-success or failure. Let's pick it up.
Call it. Yeah.
Non-success, failure. But how could I have done better? Or it's funny because we do start to second guess ourselves when somebody quits. What did I do? What did I not do? What did I overdo? But having the hope of a new prospect that does want that, and
Mm-hmm.
just be so sure of yourself. And if you're not sure, there's a triangle that I always talk about and draw in the air where
On
it's
a podcast, on an
on a
audio.
podcast. And she'll tell me, I'll do my hair. She's like, it's a podcast. No one can see you. It's like even better. So what it is you've got action at the top, and then action leads to confidence, and confidence leads to belief. And so just getting out there and going through and saying, gosh, this recruit didn't work, but all right, I'm going to try something. And then when it does work, you've got some confidence, then you believe it's going to work. You did more action. So
Yeah, I think it's just this idea that although anyone can do it, it's okay if not everybody does do it. And being okay with that. And it's just that whole, like, what's the truth of network marketing and direct sales versus what's my feeling? And so when I was a pretty good manager in my direct sales day, like pretty good productivity, but we would launch 100 reps and 10 to 15 of them would, retain into, the next 6-month period. And that's just part of like how this works, because not every, people try it, they don't like it, they try it, they don't want to, they might be good at it, but they're like, meh, it doesn't do what I thought it would do. Maybe they weren't, they really couldn't communicate at the end of the day, or some life experience happened that kind of derailed them, and then whatever, and then people do well. And I think it's just understanding that the down escalator that you mentioned is just as normal as the up escalator, right? Every time, you never see an escalator where it's just one way, right? There's an up and a down.
right.
And so what I took out of that analogy was that you want to put people on the up escalator at a faster rate than people are coming off the down escalator. But it's this understanding that people will come down. That's okay. It's not like, I'm okay with that. And you mentioned post-game, and I was just thinking about this the other day, that our job as recruiters is not to ensure their success. I'm a coach, right? But I think about sports analogies. I used to coach JV, junior varsity high school basketball, which is the worst basketball in the world, right? 13, 14-year-old girls, junior varsity private school. And we had adopted an idea that everybody plays no matter what, right? At least 2 minutes, no matter how, and think about the 14, 15 private school girls basketball. And so what we looked at is our job was to put people in the game or give them the opportunity to play. Their job was to play. And I feel like that's what recruiting is, that it's not our job to play the game. Our job is to give people the opportunity to play and the resources to play. And, then it's okay if not every person on my JV basketball team plays in college, because that's not my job.
Right.
It's just to let people play. And that's what I've been really thinking about recruiting, that maybe we've just thought about it all wrong.
Well, it's so interesting too, for those of us that are in direct sales, think about who recruited you. Were they some crazy, awesome, dynamic person, or did they probably make mistakes when they were recruiting you, but did you opt in to play? You did. You opted in to play, and they got turned down by 4 other people. So I think 100% is just knowing a little bit of a numbers game. That it almost gives you freedom, and people like to hear, there's value in, gosh, yeah, somebody said no to me today too. So you shedding light on it's gonna happen. Oh, I feel so much better now. It's like I have a 2-year-old and I see another 2-year-old acting terrible at a grocery store, and I'm like, whew, it's not just my kid, Thank heavens it's not just my kid. So hopefully that helps you feel a little bit of freedom. Recruiting for me has become something that I love versus that I have to do, quote unquote.
Yeah, I hear that. So I have 4 questions based on just that one comment. So the first one is, now you were recruited. You have just like so many nuggets of wisdom, Nicole. So it's hard for me to keep track of them all. You were recruited and you said yes on the very first ask, right?
Wrong.
No?
No, I'm like the typical, I turned it down for a year. Turned it down.
So tell us about how you were recruited and why did you actually do this?
So funny. I don't know why that came to me, because my upline is a very dynamic, incredible, stellar, awesome person. You know, when she recruited me, was she all of those things? Sure. Maybe not at network marketing yet. And it goes back to they give the opportunity and we get to choose. She didn't do something that made it switch for me. It was me, timing, opportunity, etc., that switched. But you know, she approached us and asked us face to face, was the first whatever interaction of asking, and I was like, no way, no thanks, that's weird. You're gonna be one of those people, you know, I don't have the energy for that, I just had a new baby. All of the excuses, for sure. Came back not even months later, but 4 months later, via phone, like, come on, like, this is so great, this is what we're doing. And she's my family, so we would have interactions all the time and it would come up. But there was a final a final email that was sent, which I was like, that's weird, we don't really communicate by email. But the subject said, last time, I promise. And just said, I really want you to take a look at this. I really think it could help you and your family. And I can't remember very much what else. It was just literally like, I'm sure it was how I would write to somebody. 3 sentences. I'm at an airport, sending a Hail Mary out. Let's try again. And watch this video, talk to your husband, and just look at it. So my husband was like, oh my gosh, again, like, this is getting crazy. Like, we got to tell her to stop. And I was like, okay, down in the basement, watched 2 not that incredible videos. But something then changed for me, where again, it meant like opportunity, hope for something better, persistence of the recruiting. And, you know, I always say divine intervention, because it just felt this on the cusp of something. And it felt uncomfortable. It felt very uncomfortable for what I was going to say yes to. So I was almost like bratty about it. Like, fine, whatever. I don't have any friends. What's the minimum? What do we do? I don't even know, you know? And then after that, day 2, I was in. No looking back, whatever. People told me no, you know, then that recruiting process start. But I was never going to be out, but I didn't hone in on my recruiting skills.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any, right?
Yeah. So what would you say to like first year or 2 in the business, Nicole? Like, I mean, a lot of our people, they're not going to be able to wait until they make however much you were making before they have to recruit. Like I tell them, I'm like, you need to start from day 1.
Right.
And so what advice would you give them?
Oh my gosh. It's just literally, just do it. You have nothing to lose. And I always do this, like, what's the risk reward? One person can completely change your business, or they can tell you no. What is the big deal about that? Like, life completely changed versus, oh, he or she said no. Darn it. All right. Well, this one feels much better over here. The like life-changing person.
Mm-hmm.
This one feels like that's worth a conversation. You know, it's worth me stepping outside my comfort zone, making it a personal conversation. You know, be invested in them. Listen is what I would tell myself. And I recruited like quick. I remember thinking, okay, I need to have this amount of people, you know, to
It's
get
audio, Nicole.
You know,
say the number.
I needed to have 3 people.
I'll post the video for you guys somewhere.
So funny. I keep looking at her. And I'm like, this many. Hold up your hand. I needed to find 3 people. So I'm like, okay, great. But then what I would tell people too is, guess what? You need to find more than 3 people. You will need to find a lot of people, but it all goes back to the risk reward. Do you find somebody that changes your business in your life, or are you too scared to ask because someone could say no? Eliminate any personal, we always say, take the personalness out of it. It's not personal. You have the ability to change someone's life with what you are offering them. And I just feel like, do you want to sit on the sidelines, or is that fair to them? Whether or not you've had any success, you have this little seed in you that you believe you can do this, and this can change, and this can work. So cultivate it, nourish it, water it, give it some sun, do stuff. Gosh, always laughs and is like, when people say, how do they recruit? You just talk to people. But she's so good at helping you see what you did to bring those people on. So
we'll talk about that in a minute. I have one more question, and then I'm going to have you recruit me.
Oh, shoot. I like it. Oh, shoot.
Or you could just do it now. I could ask that question later. So yeah, all the people at your rank, you're the worst at being the best, right? Like, you're so amazing. And it's like, I just talk to people. I just, it just happened. I just, whatever. And it's not even close to right? So I don't expect you to deconstruct it, right? So what I'm going to ask you is, we're face to face. Recruit me.
All right.
What'd you say?
This is my favorite thing. Tasha, I am always going to want to work with people that I love, people that I think are incredible, people that I think have a vision for what they want to create in this life, people who are ever growers, and that's you. If this was me today, like, I want you to come and be on this journey with me, not for me, but for you. And what is available for you out there is, you don't even know yet. And it's going to be incredible, and it's going to be amazing. And I want to work with you. So you need to get your affairs in order and let me know when's a good time. I've got Tuesday or Thursday.
Get my affairs in order. I have
we're moving
13 employee sales training business.
This is what I like to tell people. What would this have to look like for you to come and be a part of what I'm doing? Because I want to work together.
That's a good question. I can't answer that on air.
I feel like people, you've got to paint a picture for people what it could be like, but also what I see for them isn't what they see for them. So, okay, this could look great if I could make this much money a month, if I could work this many hours a month, part-time, full-time. I see what you're doing, but that seems like this. Well, all right, how can we make this work for you and your life and your needs and what you want to accomplish? So I ask people a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what I do. I just say, if we're sitting down, you're already open to hearing something. So why are you interested in doing this? And that question leads me to
all the others. Well, I think what I'll have to do is I'll post a YouTube video of this conversation. I don't have any makeup on. You didn't do your hair. But I think what everybody needs to see is the look in your eyes. Right? Like, you were like dead straight. Like, I want to do this with you. And the reason I couldn't answer that question is I kind of found myself wanting to answer the question. Right? I'm sorry, Nicole, I cannot be recruited by you right now. This is a vulnerable place. But I felt like, I might consider this. And it was your conviction. That's what you were talking about, is it wasn't just this like oh, this is what we're doing. And it was just this, like, you just deadlocked in on me and I believed you. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Oh, I mean, I really do feel it. I feel it. And I have worked with people who everybody can, I would say there's a place for everybody at whatever level they want to do anything. You know, if they want to get their product paid for, if they want to make $2,000 a month, if they want to have an impact on people's life and their health, whatever it is. But when I'm recruiting now at top level recruiting, like I want them to know that they have this, this, and this. This is why we would work well together. I really ultimately, I have something that I think they want. They might not know it yet, but I need them to see it. You know? So I'm just a little bit relentless.
I think that what I heard, that it's okay if they don't know they don't want it yet. Yeah. I think that's where the lack of conviction in recruiting, it's like, okay, well, so many people are like, if they want to do it, they'll come to me. But they don't know they want to do it because they don't understand.
They don't know, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's so profound. Huh.
People don't know what they don't know. And thank goodness, again, for my relentless upline, I had no idea. And even when I'm talking to somebody that maybe they've seen what's happening in our lives, or, you know, whatever this little highlight reel people see, it's like, they have no idea. They have no idea, because how can you know when you don't know?
Mm-hmm.
So I've got to help people see, you know, and everyone works differently. That might be numbers for somebody. That might be warm, feely feeling for somebody else.
Yeah. So what do you do when you're not feeling it? Because if you're feeling this happy, you have to not be feeling. So we have a lot of our audience, people listening to this podcast, who are like, well, that's great, Nicole. I mean, I could just hear them like commenting on this, like,
stop rolling your eyes.
So just feel it, you stupid top earner. Like, I don't feel it.
You know what you have to do? This is it. And I still do this because I sometimes don't feel it, y'all. Sometimes I don't feel it, not because I don't feel like it's a great opportunity for people, but for whatever reason. Like maybe you're like not in the best recruiting mood day. You have to put on your flippin' Rocky sweatpants and sweatshirt like Tasha's wearing, and you just have to do it. Like you just have to run to the top of the stairs and get it done. And then you have to do it again. So it's just a repetitive process, and we become what we repetitively do.
Yeah.
So it's not going to always feel great. I love that point. It's not always going to be so rosy and I feel so wonderful about changing people's lives. It might be, I've got to get a new builder this week to keep my business going. And both are okay. Both can be equally effective. But I like to coach my team or help my team, like, know the statistics, know different things about your compensation plan. So when people ask you, you know what you're talking about, you know, so you feel confident when you walk into whatever level. I love the term recruit up, not down. Why would you put somebody on a pedestal that you feel like you can't talk to them? It's just another person. But you've got to feel confident and have the skills to talk to them. So know your compensation plan, know your script. I love how Tasha always makes us practice or go through these things, because you can say, oh yeah, I think I know how to recruit somebody, but have you written out your script? Do you know the comp plan inside and out? Could you talk to someone who is very business minded? Because for me, I was like, oh man, I can't talk to that person because they're on this whole other level. You know, put on your Rocky sweatpants, your sweat outfit, and you just do it. You just have to keep doing it.
Yeah, there's really no purpose for pants with like buttons or belt loops. That's that's my major takeaway.
You don't have to eat raw eggs. You don't have to do the raw egg thing.
I think you mentioned it, but maybe you could sum it up. What do you think is the difference between a good recruiter and someone who doesn't have a team?
thoughtful on that. I'm wanting to make it such a short answer. Consistency.
Okay. What do you mean?
I feel like midway through the conversation, when things get hard, people either keep going or they stop. So if you are consistent in your pursuit of bringing on new people, it will work. It'll work. You ask enough people. And of course, you've got to have skills. We always talk about that. Like, get better at what you want to get better at. Get better at it. Learn about it. Train. Practice. But more than anything, just do it. Do the activity. Be active in it. And you just have to be, I would just say, consistency.
So how many new builders, just to give them like something they can grab, how many new builders do you launch in a month right now?
Right
you're,
now,
you're in a season of massive growth.
I'm in a season of massive growth. But here's for me personally, not my team, but just me. Like, I feel really, this month there will be 5. And that's a lot for me to handle if they're my personal enrollments or if I've sponsored them or put them somewhere else. Previous months it's been 4, 3. I always feel antsy. My eye starts to twitch if there's not like 2 coming in.
So how many people?
And those are builders.
Yeah, builders, got it. Okay, so how many recruiting conversations do you think you have? And maybe they're not like exactly the way I would lay it out, but actually conversations of, let's do this. Do you want to do this? Like that real appointment, that real conversation, not the invitation.
Not the invitation. Like, I don't want to make any assumptions.
Yeah. Not the, like, do you want to talk about it? But like,
Okay.
how many of the actual talk about it's do you have?
This month there was, this is going to make my numbers sound really good, but I think I did 7 and locked in 5.
Okay. And then how many people do you think you invited to learn about it?
Oh, that's probably 20.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
3. Okay. So 3 to 4 people to get one person to say, I'll talk to you about it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Could even be more. Like yesterday, it's funny putting the numbers out there in my Facebook messengers or my phone calls or my text. And I was like, I did 15 of these today. And maybe
you invited
back
15 people.
Yeah.
And you heard in one day. I would bet that some of our listeners haven't invited 15 people in a year. What do you think about that?
I've seen that. You know what is so funny too? When our business isn't growing the way we would like it to, that's a question. That's like a number one question. How many people are you talking to?
Mm-hmm.
Who do you reach out to?
Yeah.
In fact, in our business, every year at this Top Leader Summit, they give you a report on your personal enrollments, how many you had each month total for the year. And I build really traditionally. I'm not racking up. There's a lot of online people who will have 50 to 200 personal enrollments in a month, which I can't even wrap my mind around that. But definitely double asking than what's coming back. Triple some months, depending on this.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Try to think. You work a lot though.
I do work a lot. I'm still in the grind. I'm still grinding.
Yeah. I just want to put that in context for people listening who are like, so if someone's working 10 to 15, 20 hours a week, what do you think would be a good expectation for them?
I think honestly, it's so interesting. There's no reason we've been talking about this week with recruits and reactivations and fresh meat, fresh blood, new people to come out.
Don't call them that. I'm a customer.
So new clients that are going to be.
You're heartless, Nicole.
Heartless. If I was part-time, I would feel really happy with a new builder if they were reaching out to 5 people each week. I feel really happy about that. And I feel like those conversations aren't just thrown out in the dark. You know,
Right.
this is relationships that have been there, or referrals.
Yeah. So what about people? I had a question come up in one of my recruiting groups. They were all like, can you find one of the top ranks and ask them all these questions? So I'm going to ask this one. So then we said, okay, I don't have those people like that I know that are those people that I could just say, come on, let's go, let's do this.
Right.
So they liked, the sales process, right? Because they can build relationships that we teach with people that they don't know all that well and still have great relationships and all that stuff. But how do you approach, because I'm assuming you're like close people after 5 years are not really in play anymore.
Yeah.
So you're now recruiting customers am I hearing that correctly?
You guys, I still am looking for people to host classes for me. I'm looking for people to host a class, to set up an appointment, and we know the numbers game of every 1 in 8, people will join us in our business. So that's what I'm doing. I love referrals. That is something that has come later in my business too. And it's just such a smart, simple, obvious thing, but a lot of your legwork is done when you ask somebody, do you know anybody anybody else would be interested in this, and sitting down with me and going through a consultation. And the thing with recruiting too, if anybody's nervous about the business side of your business, you still can lead with the product. That's okay. That's fine. And let the business come later as, the steps that Tasha teaches, but don't be afraid either to see somebody that you want to work with. I met these 2 women at my kids' tennis lessons who I was just like, oh my goodness, I want to work with you. And I kind of did the same thing Tasha did that I did with Tasha, where it's just like, hey, like we got accounts, they started using product, we built a relationship. And I was just like, she has another job. And I was just like, listen, like, would you ever consider, like, I would love to work with you and sit down and talk about how this could work for you and I. And that's just again, making it an active part of your business.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always looking for new people, and then I'm always looking in my tree.
Mm-hmm. But how do you do that without being a weird, awkward person?
Oh, geez.
Or are you a weird, awkward person?
Hey. No, I'm not a weird, awkward person. I just ask.
How do you not be like that gross network marketer?
Hopefully, and I feel like this is a big thing, like we have some type of a relationship built. Yeah. I'm definitely not Facebook messaging randos that I went to high school with. So like that might work, but it doesn't work effectively, and it comes off very non-genuine.
Yeah.
And so I sometimes I'll have people on my radar and starting to build the relationship. I'm grooming them to ask them about the business, or to have them have a class for me, or have them let me into their network first. But for me, I always have to have a little bit of BTR. Yeah. You got to build the relationship a little bit.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say, here's kind of my analysis of this conversation. So you
break it down.
Yeah, let me break it down. Okay. So you think new people should just go for it because that's kind of the job. When they invite people, they should know what they're saying. So they should take all of the Emerge classes so that they know that from the beginning. Is that what I heard you say?
I said that very clearly.
No, I'm just joking. But when you look at people, you look them dead in the eye and you believe in what you're doing. And if you don't believe in what you're doing, then you do it anyway because you put on your big girl pants and we move forward. When you recruited me, you shared a vision around like, here's what life could look like. Come with me. And you realize that people not doing well or as well as they would like to is just part of life. And so your job is to replace team members faster than you lose them. And that's okay because you never know who's going to be that next person.
It's even more than okay. Because I went through a stint too where like, I'm sure people are like, I'm stuck. And I didn't want to interrupt you, but like,
no, it's okay.
I feel stuck and my builders aren't doing this. And I'm waiting for my builder to do this. And I'm waiting for this. And I want them to find their own builders. you'll never accomplish your goals if you're waiting on someone. If you're waiting for that builder to find their builder. Like, you got to drop the ego, you got to drop that and just say, if my business and my goals, my responsibility.
I love that. Oh, that's so good.
It's just the truth. And I'm only speaking so passionate about it because I've lived it. I've thought those things. I've said those things and felt the like, and I'm blowing past it because this is not working.
Yeah. I feel like some people think that when you have an existing team, recruiting new people is like cheating on them. But I think that new people are just such a great gift to your existing team because it brings this life to your team that it's like a new person and they're excited and like they have success, and it's just a totally, like, you just got to keep, I think it's why people keep having kids maybe or something. I don't know.
But you know what another thing it does that's so funny is it helps this other person over here see this new person, and it makes them go, ooh,
yep.
Oh, I got to step up. I got to rise up to this new leader over here that's getting kind of the spotlight and they're doing well, and I got to up my game. And that totally works.
And that's a huge part of culture. Okay, last thing. We could probably do a 4-hour podcast. Resistance is futile. You said that to me before. Tell me what you mean by that.
Oh my gosh. It just means I've been a part of it. I've lived that too. And for those people that you feel like have said no and you're sad and these big dreams of riding off into the sunset are crushed, they're going to come back. You stick with it long enough and be consistent in your pursuit of relentlessness, they'll come back because of what you're creating and doing has this almost this energy force field. So that's what I mean by resistance is futile. It's they say no for a little while, or no, not now, or this isn't going to work, but it goes two ways though. Like you've got to be persistent with it so that they can't resist the second or the third or maybe the fifth time over 5 years.
Sure. But also still always being a good human in a relationship. Like, and I think that's what I heard from you.
That's number one. That's number one. Yeah.
But like we've joked that both of us, like me and recruiting my team, right? You and recruiting your team, or being recruited. It's this like, you can say no now. That's fine. It's happening someday. So you might as well just save yourself some time and just come with me now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I feel like that is the attitude that separates people that are at your level in the network marketing industry, right? At the very top rank, from those who aren't, right? Like recruiting is fun. It's fun, like bringing new people in. It's fun getting that excitement. It's not like a death sentence you're giving them. And if they like it and do well, great. And if they try it and they don't like it, at least they're richer for the experience.
Well, and back to your culture part, like hopefully they have left saying, I had a great experience with Tasha. I had a good experience with Nicole. I was, privy to learn this, and it really helped me stretch and grow. That goes back to, you're still a good person. We leave things better than we found them or left them. But I mean, the pros and the cons of the recruiting, like it's so easy. I'm out a life-changing person or a no that I'm still going to be friends with and see them and go to church. It's all good. Just ask.
I love it. I love it. Is there any last thing that you would like to share with them?
And Tasha seriously did not ask me to plug anything, but I'm going to plug her. I hope that doesn't make you uncomfortable. I just feel like when I've touched on the skills portion that a lot of us come into any type of business, but this business in particular, we might be lacking. And it's incredible to have a training that provides that for people, where if you feel a little shaky or you feel a little like I'm unsure of what to say. She has a recruiting group that she's like, I think you would really benefit from this. And me, whatever, at the top rank, I'm like, yeah, I could really benefit from this. Be ever growing, be ever learning, be consistent. There's this is what I'll leave you with, is the ability to be, or success, I feel like, is determined by you living up to the commitments that you make to yourself. So if you say, I'm going to give this a shot and I'm going to do it and I'm going to be successful at it, you know what you should be doing. You know the steps, like what needs to be done. So when you live up to the commitments that you make to yourself, the sky's the limit. Sky's the limit.
I love that. We just have to end it there. Thank you so much, Nicole, for being on the podcast. I feel very honored to be in the presence of such greatness.
Oh, I just love you. I'll do anything.
All right.
I hope
Thanks.
it's helpful.
Yeah. Oh, no, it was awesome. Thank you so much.